Hi, welcome back to Christine's Home Affairs. I have a very fun and quick little project for you to do today. This will probably take about an hour and it's a toy or a game or something that you can share with other people. It's called a Dapostar. What's a Dapostar, I hear you ask? I had no idea until yesterday morning either. A Dapostar or a Dapo cloth, it's a skill toy designed in the shape of an 8-pointed star or an 8-pointed piece of fabric. And it's used for juggling, it's used for having fun. And remember the old hacky sacks where people used to throw the hacky sacks on their knees and their feet and things like that? Well, this Dapostar is kind of like the fidget spinner of fabric. I'm going to show you how to make a Dapostar, and I'll post a link in the description box below so that you can see how the experts actually use it, because I cannot for the life of me work it out. It's fun. It's energetic and it's probably a really good form of exercise as well. I know the few minutes that I tried using it yesterday, I was exhausted. Stick around and I'll show you how to make this juggling cloth. Okay, so this is a really simple project to cut out. All we need are 4 pieces of fabric at 18 inches square. What I have here are 2 of this one, which is 18 by 18 inches, and I have 1 piece of interfacing fused to the back of one of them. It's just a regular dressmaker's interfacing, and this fabric here is the same size, so 18 inches by 18 inches with a piece of interfacing fused onto the wrong side of one of them. Then you need 8 strips of fabric that are 2 inches wide by 19 inches long. The other option is just to cut a full length from your width of fabric. That gives you about 40 inches. Then you can use one of these strips for 2 sides of your Dapostar. Take the piece of fabric that's got the interfacing on it, face that down on your table, grab your other piece of fabric and lay that faced up. Line up your edges so you've got the right side facing down and facing up, and you've just got the interfaced fabric on the inside there. So I've pinned that together all around the sides, and I'm going to set this one aside and grab the other one. And we'll do the same thing, place the right side facing down and the other piece with the right side facing up. Once you've got both sets of squares pinned together, take your strip and we'll take this to the ironing board and fold it in half lengthwise, and then fold it in half again to bring the raw edges in, and same on the other side. Then just bring those edges together and we'll iron that together for all of our strips, and you can leave the raw edges open at the end. So I'm just going to quickly go and press those. Okay, I have all my strips ironed. They've been folded together and folded together again, and the raw edge has been left open. Put those aside, grab your fabric, and what we want to do now is take one of our strips and place the raw edge inside the folded edge here. Now, you don't need to worry about the selvage just here. We're going to leave a little bit hanging over. Place the fabric underneath and that folded edge straight over the top. Clip this in place and just make sure you line up your fabric underneath nice and evenly so you've got the same amount of fabric on the top as you do underneath, because we're going to be stitching straight down this edge. Ideally, if you're making these things, you'd get some really nice funky fabric, some kaleidoscope kind of fabric or a mandala type of fabric, just something really nice and bright and fun so that you can imagine when it's spinning, you're going to have a whole swirl of colours going around. This is all I've had, but I think it'll still be okay. At least it'll be a great training cloth. When you get to the end, you can just cut that off, and we'll take this to the machine and stitch that down all the way along the edge. When you're stitching, rather than stitching super close to the very edge, come in just a little bit, and that way you'll ensure that you actually catch the fabric that's underneath. So stitch all the way down, and then when you've done that, you'll repeat the process on the following side. When you start the second side though, open your fabric out, fold the raw edge under, and then just fold the fabric back together again, and you'll overlap this on the very edge there, clip that in place and stitch the whole thing down. Now, if you're a quilter and you know how to do quilt bindings, it'll be just as easy to do a proper quilt binding. Yesterday I made one of these and I used 4 different coloured strips on the outside edges. So you can go and use any scrap fabric that you have, any offcuts that you have from your quilt bindings, and just use an assortment of different colours. So we can cut that excess off, grab the next piece, and I'll just trim the selvage off, fold the edge over again. The first strip that we put down is the only one that doesn't need the folded edge turned over, and the reason for that is that it's not going to be seen when we finish with this. We actually have to fold an edge over on our very last strip. When you get to the end and you've got that little tail that we started off with, you can just trim that off. We'll cut this strip a little bit longer and fold this strip so that the end of it is in line with the edge of the fabric. So we've got all the raw edges enclosed on the corners, and we've got our fabric square with our binding strips over the top all the way around. Set this one aside and we'll do the same for the other one. Place your binding strips on in whichever fashion you like, and then we'll take this to the machine and stitch it all down. Both sets of squares have been clipped together, the bindings are on there. I'm ready to take this to the sewing machine now. All we're going to do is stitch all the way down, all four sides, and just make sure that when you stitch this down that you're actually catching the other side as well. Okay, so I'm just going to start at the top here, stitch all the way down, and I'm going to continue all the way around. All that's left for me to do is exactly the same on the other piece. Then we'll take this back to the cutting table and we are going to put it into position and then stitch the two layers together. Take one of your squares and fold it in half and just press a line along the centre. You can actually pin that, turn it around and find the centre on the other side, and you can mark that with pins as well. So we've got our centre lines marked. Take the other one and we'll fold that in half on the diagonal. Just mark a crease in the fabric along here, turn it around and do the same on the other side. It's barely noticeable, but it does help you to line up the fabric. Take the other piece of fabric, and where you have your crease along here, we want to line that up, the straight line along here with the crease along here. If I get a long ruler and line that up with the points here, you can see where my pin is just underneath here and here. I've got that centered along here, and we want to do the same thing along this side as well. So we've got our corners along the side. You want to line the center line here with the center line along here. So just manipulate that down until the center of your fabric meets the point, and just check that the center of your fabric here lines up as well. Once you've got the squares offset like this, then you can just pin the layers together and we're almost finished. So you can see that's the pattern on one side, and then we've got this pattern on the other side. Of course, if you can get yourself something really psychedelic, that will look awesome if you can master the art of fabric juggling. What we want to do here is stitch this top piece down to the bottom piece. Starting at the very top corner, we're going to do a top stitch right on the very edge here, and we're going to stitch this flap straight down along here, continue on to the end, and then keep coming around and stitching around that square. When you've done that, you can turn it around and you can repeat and do exactly the same each stitch all the way around, and that will ensure that these flaps are stitched together. Let's take that to the machine and we'll top stitch all the way around those edges. Okay, you can start anywhere you like on the top one. Just continue to stitch all the way to the end, pivot when you get to the end, and then keep going. And there you have it, completely finished. Let's play. Okay, I've made two of these. I made one in the shop yesterday and I've come home and I've made another one this evening. I love this concept. It's just like flipping pizza dough. Mind you, I can't do that either. This is your Dapostar cloth or your mandala cloth or your juggling cloth. Basically, the concept is that you put your hand in the middle of the fabric and you just cup it like this and you spin it. You rotate it like you're changing a light globe. So you just do this and you continue to do this whilst you're moving your arm up and down. And apparently you shouldn't do it with floppy arms. So move your arm up and down as you're turning your fabric. And eventually, when you get good enough, you can turn it quick enough so that your fabric spins around like you see plate spinners spinning plates and Watch me embarrass myself. Okay. So I did warn you, I'm not very good at this at all. But anyway, this is the design. This is the concept. You just keep raising your arm and spinning it around really, really quickly. It's so fun. The videos I've seen of people that actually know what they're doing look amazing. They're in shopping malls. They're doing all these acrobatics with 2 or 3 of these Daposstars, and they're having a lot of fun. So I think this would be a great project to do for kids, and you could even do this with kids. It's that easy. And then see if they can actually master the art of spinning fabric or juggling fabric, because I'm not going to master this art. No way. But look, if nothing else, it might end up being a useful table runner. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and let me know what you think. Are you going to make these or even try to have a go yourself? Let me know. Catch you next time.